what
yes. Yeah.
This fall, well, actually, this Thanksgiving, it will be 25 years since the first time that you and I met. And that's exactly how I landed a helicopter on the farm in Virginia. And,
Yeah.
and, and it was a secret. My friend wouldn't tell me who I was meeting. And there you and Donna were, and we've all been good friends ever since.
True enough. Yes. And you're still flying.
I'm not doing as much of it. It's just harder to do. I mean, I don't own a helicopter anymore, and it's a huge responsibility. So when I can, maybe once or twice a year, I go out with a instructor and buzz around a little bit.
Yeah.
I
Keep
have
that
to be honest,
proficiency.
though. I'm also afraid of drones. The very thing that I have a lot of in this new book, Sharp
Hmm.
Force. Um, it seems like, I mean, if you get hit by one of those things when you're up in your helicopter, I really am very worried about that sort of thing.
No, and they're thick like flies now. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. Okay, I'm just going to real quick, because I'm just going to say we're here to talk. Instead of doing any intros, I'm going to let you two just start chatting. We're here to talk about, Patricia, your book, Sharp Force, or whatever you two would like to talk about. I'm going to go off screen. You two have some fun. I'll see you in a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, we got people from all over the world. I noticed with us tonight, Patricia. It just speaks to your universal following, and they're going to have a great time with this book if they haven't already read it.
Well, I think that people from all over the world speaks more to your being here than my being here.
No,
But
I don't.
I'm always so pleased when you take time to do this. And one of the things that I would like to bring up, because I consider Sharp Forces a bit of what I call a high tech ghost story. Um, and when I was a little kid, I loved to write things that were spooky. And so what I'm trying to do as an adult is come up with spooky stories, but have scientific reasons for why you could have like a ghost floating through somebody's window. But before we talk about ghosts that are projected in holographic technology and all that, you have had a lot of experiences with ghosts, haven't you? I mean, I know didn't your father write a book on it or something about all
Yeah.
that?
Oh, sure. Well, the family was into more mediumship because we're spiritualists, and we're in the Lilydale, New York community of spiritualists. That's where my great grandfather was. So it was more about reaching the other side, reaching those who've gone before. We believe this is, I guess, what you could say, our religion is that we believe in not only the soul or spirit surviving after the demise of the body, but the consciousness can survive. And the family had a medium. His name was Walter Ashurst. He was a locomotive mechanic, and he came up to my great grandfather one afternoon and said, Dr. Aykroyd, I believe I have a gift. And he was the family medium through the 30s and 40s, and he channeled many entities and personalities that had gone before with verified evidence. And it's all in my dad's book, History of Ghosts. So we were more on the study of the afterlife than paranormal events. Although the old farmhouse there where the seances took place, some people have experienced footsteps, voices, knocks, bangings, and my dad always believed it was a portal. And I invite you to, well,
That's why when I
come
come
and stay
visit
the
you,
night.
that's why when I come visit you, I choose not to stay in that particular house.
Well,
I
you
don't.
stay down the way there.
I mean, but I've experienced things like this before. It definitely been in places that are haunted, especially when you're in very, very old places where there are things that happen that are not explicable. And so, what I love to explore these things. Whether it's UFOs that we talked about last time, or UAPs, or whatever. Non-human intelligent life, whatever. Because when there's too many people telling these stories, you have to start wondering why. Why is it when you talk about portals, where, and I think there's something to that when people see something that doesn't seem to be of this world, possibly has it got to do with like the quote, wrinkle in time, something that's a portal that could that could be another dimension bleeding through. I mean, we have the same things happen on a television screen where you have a magnetic pull and it can gouge the picture across the screen and pull it away from where it's supposed to be. So these are forces I don't think we understand, but I think it's intriguing.
Well, I think it all takes place at a subatomic level. And as far as, apparitions of spirits, uh, I would love to see some scientific study as to how molecules coalesce to make a spirit appear. One of the most famous cases is, of course, the famous ghost of Flight 401, where a flight engineer who had died in an airplane crash at Eastern Airlines, he appeared to fellow pilots and he appeared to stewardesses, and he was appeared in full uniform and then vanished in front of people. And finally, Eastern Airlines had to tell people not to talk about it. But that's a great case. Now, think of the energy it must take to coalesce molecules in a way that someone in this dimension, in the 4Ds, a living person, can see the apparition in uniform as he appeared with his red hair. His name was Don Repo, R-E-P-O. Eventually, an intervention was done with mediums to help his soul cross over to the other side. But wow, the energy it must take to coalesce molecules so that spirits can appear. That's a scientific pursuit that, of course, many have undertaken, but we don't know any more today about it.
Well, I've always thought that so much of what we have great questions about can maybe be hinted at if we look at what we do. And if you look at holographic technology, where literally you have the potential of flying some kind of spherical, some high-tech drone that you can't see that can fly in all kinds of weather, and you can project certain things, creating these holograms that literally it looks like a ghost is floating up the street. And there's nothing, but there really isn't, quote, anything there. If we have technologies that are on the verge of making it to the point that we're not sure what's real when we're seeing something or not, what makes us think there might not be something in another dimension that's doing something similar that's causing us to see something weird? I just think that I do think there's scientific reasons for almost everything that seems magical. We may not be able to figure it out, but there's something there.
Well, these vessels there that are being filmed by the military and that have been spoken of and filmed for years, photographed and filmed for years, they seem to be quite magical in the way they flit about, the way they travel over massive distances, seemingly in split seconds. Their behavior aerodynamically not like anything we have here. It seems magical, but no, you're absolutely right. It is physical. It all comes from physics. They are mastering subatomic particles at a level that we just don't know how to do now, and they're deriving energy from these particles, and they're converting them in a way that enables them to traverse great distances, and even interdimensional travel is often thought of. So things that may seem magical, as you say, it's all physical, and even magic. If you look at David Blaine, and I saw him levitate off the sidewalk, 3 inches off the sidewalk in New York once.
Wow.
You may think that's
probably because he was so startled seeing Danny Aykroyd and he levitated.
Well, that I think that wore off earlier in the evening, but he did that. And how did he do that? Well, some kind of I don't know, like a Reiki or a heat convection that produced a vapor, a hover vapor under his feet. I don't know how it was done. He also took a quarter and he put it in my hand, or a 50-cent piece, and he put it on the top of my hand, and ridged it in between the tendons, and he tapped it and it went right through. And I could feel it go through my hand. So
that's crazy.
Psychic surgeons often spoke of how when they would go into a person's organs to pull out a cancer, one of them said it felt like I was putting my hand in a bowl of marbles and going through the skin and going through to pierce through to the organ that had the cancer. That was his metaphor, was that it felt like a bowl of marbles. So there you can almost see like individual particles, electrons, protons, neutrons, all sort of separating to so that he could get in there to the cancer. You think of it as in a visual sense like that. It might give you a better picture of what's going on.
Well, the sorts of things they're discovering with quantum physics and quantum mechanics. And I've seen some articles recently about that there are theories that what we do right now can change things that have happened in the past. This is an idea in quantum mechanics that sounds crazy, but maybe not, because then again, I think about what Da Vinci said, that everything's connected. And I believe the past and the present and the future and all of it is connected. I'm not sure I can explain it in a way that makes sense, but it wouldn't surprise me if something we do right now not only impacts what goes forward, but might indeed impact something that happened a while ago. I just think I'm intrigued by all of it.
Well, the present is the past. I was just in the past with you a second ago, but that became the present, and now it's the future. So indeed, it is all one linear link defined by how we're living now in this exact moment. And this exact moment is part of the past and part of the future. And if you want to go further into the past, in imagination or in records and technology to get into history, it's all there for us. And we're making history right now, tonight, by what we're doing with this discussion going into the future. Just by virtue of us going into the future, we are making history. So yeah, it's a stone rope. It's all connected. It's all connected indeed. And again, some of these intelligent operators, I don't know, I can't say who or what they are, but these intelligent operators have the ability, I think, to travel back and forth along these timelines so that they can indeed go back and visit, a cattle ranch in 1800, or go forward and visit a Mars colony 50 years from now. This is the kind of technology they have, not only to traverse spatial distances, but time as well.
I often wonder if a lot of these things we talk about that are, the quote paranormal stuff, when you're talking about quote aliens or spaceships, Bigfoot, ghosts, I somehow in a weird way feel that everything is kind of connected, that a lot of what we think is mythical may just simply be something that we don't have a clear definition for, but particularly things that defy what we believe is logical, like seeing a ghost, for example. You think of that, or you think of these spacecraft. Maybe once again, they're things that are not exactly in our dimension, and there may be some connection to them. I don't know, but there's too many people that have had these experiences to say that it's fake. And I also think it's not fair to act like people are not smart because they believe in these things. I mean, I think there's been a stigma and it needs to go away. I think a lot of it is going away, frankly.
Well, there are many polls now among people that and well over half of those polled around the world believe that these objects are real, that are traveling back and forth and coming and going like taxis. They're real, and also that ghosts and spirits and manifestations, that the paranormal is normal, and people believe the paranormal is normal. About half the people, 55, 56% in some polls. So yes, that the stigma of that is all going away. You've got these military pilots and military personnel who are not afraid to talk about their experiences, going back as far as World War II into the present. So these are aviators, these are empiricists, they're men of science, they're navigators, they're men of numbers and speeds and velocities. And so if they're talking credibly and not afraid to talk about it, I think we must place great store in their witness accounts.
Well, I think there's also artwork that goes back thousands of years, including inside the pyramids, but also artwork in other parts of the world, in stone that are thousands of years old, that depict beings that don't make any sense because they couldn't have been like something that they were actually seeing in terms of humans. They almost look like people that have spacesuits on, or some kind of spacecraft flying in the sky.
Oh
And
yeah, I've seen those, of course, and
I
they're
mean,
very
it's
famous.
and so when you and why is it that this is all over the world? Um, and I think all of that, what that should do, what it does for me is I find it exciting because I want to be part of something that might be beyond just here. Well, we say, please be nice, please be nice.
Well,
But
as writers, we find it entertaining, and so that's what I love about it all. It's very entertaining. When you look at great movies like The Day the Earth Stood Still, the original one made in the '50s, and This Island Earth, and Earth versus the Flying Saucers, and E.T., and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Fire in the Sky. These are great films that have been made about this subject, and treating it in a kind of a semi-realistic way, so that you can believe that this stuff might happen. So that's what I love about it all. And look, I mean, I wrote Ghostbusters because it was entertaining to think of, writing a ghost comedy, but using all of the vernacular and the science to date, with these three, people studying paranormal research, and actually doing it in a serious way, except for Murray. And that's why I wrote it. I kind of blended the idea of ghost comedy from the 30s and 40s, like Bowery Boys, Abbott and Costello, Dean Martin, and Jerry Lewis. They all did ghost comedies. I thought, let's do one, but let's do it, and then we'll treat it kind of as if all of this is real and being really researched, with which it was and is. When as a kid, I used to read the American Psychical Research Journals and Fate magazine, and these were the things that were lying around my house when I was a kid, and they were all very seriously inquiring into this to find out the wheres and whys, and then hows of these occurrences.
well, in Ghostbusters, I've always felt that you were channeling something that's got to do with energy, and I really do think a lot of this has to do with energy and energy disturbances, and think again, physics. But that was, I mean, I am not a critic, obviously. I'm no expert on movies, but I've always thought that your Ghostbusters, that you were channeling something more than just entertainment there. I say to you about that the same thing I said to Dan Brown when the author Dan Brown was having dinner with him a few years ago, and I said, whether you knew it or not, when you wrote the Da Vinci Code, you were channeling something from somewhere else, and that's one of the reasons it went bonkers the way it did. And the same with Ghostbusters. Do you ever feel that as an artist, that sometimes you get ideas that you don't know where they come from?
I do. It's hard to say where muses lie, and how one is motivated to write something, and how and when, and how to execute it. Certainly, you are very prolific, and you feel from time to time. You've told me that you feel you've channeled maybe a predecessor in mystery writing from time to time, that person speaks to you,
I
and
have felt, yeah.
and you execute sometimes from that point of view. I just written this book, which you read and gave me.
Yes, I was going to ask you what's
on.
going on. Tell everybody
Well,
about that.
yes. Well, it's going to be coming out in the fall, I hope. And you gave me some great notes, of course, and I incorporated many of them. And you really encouraged me to keep going with it. But as I was writing that, I write longhand, from the brain to the arm to the pen, and the flow there. Sometimes I felt the flow was so smooth, and I was thinking, somebody's helping me, something, or somewhere, something, there's some help. I'm getting some help in this. I'm getting assistance here from somewhere. I don't know from where or what, but there were just nights when I was writing, and it just went so smoothly, and it was almost being given to me. I wasn't thinking of it. It was, this is what you should write, Aykroyd. This is what you should write. You should write this scene right here. It should be like this, and they should look like this. And So maybe one hopes that the muses favor us in that way.
Even Hemingway talked about that in his book, The Garden of Eden, where he has an author who is the protagonist, and this character basically talks about how when a day when it just all came so easily, and how what a gift that is, because it's almost like you're channeling something, and I've had that experience, and where it almost feels like I have my finger in a wall socket. It's just all this energy, and it's kind of like, gosh, if only it could be like that all the time, because I wouldn't have to try so hard to figure out what I'm doing most of the time.
Well, I don't know where the abandoned amusement park in Sharp Force came from, but boy, is that a haunting and eerie location. That was one of my favorite things in your book. I love abandoned technology and dead technology in places that people were and are no longer. And that was
Yeah.
a beautiful depiction of places in America that actually exist like that. It was a
Well,
great location.
well, thank you. I try, with any of the books, because obviously I have, nasty kind of crime, and in Sharp Force we have, Sharp Force literally means sharp force injury, which is what in forensic pathology when you're talking about stab wounds. So clearly not a happy story. But if you have locations, or it's a holiday season, I mean, I would wonder if in your movies, if it's or in your new book, which by the way I'm looking forward to seeing, but because you need to elaborate a little bit more. You didn't tell all these wonderful people listening that you're dealing with UFO stuff. And then give them a little tease about what you're going to do.
Well, I think it would the best way to say it, if what if you were, all of us, any one of us, were approached by beings with higher technology, obviously very powerful technology, and came to us, I'd say all of us listening tonight, I don't know, you or me, and basically embraced us and said, these beings said, we want you to do this for us, and we're going to embrace you, and really we've chosen you, and you don't really have a choice to get out of it. So that's really what the book's about, yeah. And
Well, I won't give any spoilers, but seeing as how I have read at least one rendition of it, I will tell everybody that the way Dan Aykroyd describes alien technology, I am seriously doubting, if he's really from Earth or not anymore. Because I
yeah,
thought, how the
mm,
heck do you
well,
think of all this stuff?
I'm a heterochromiac syndactylite, which means I have two different colored eyes and two webbed toes on each foot. So yes, I might have an alien. Maybe there's some alien DNA
We're
there.
learning
Yeah.
here, everybody. He's admitting it.
Yes. Yeah. I've eyes like a Yukon dog, like a Malamute. One's green and one's brown, and it's pretty rare. I think it's pretty rare. You don't see too much of that. I think David Bowie had that. I'm not sure.
It
A
seems
couple of
like,
people.
well,
Yeah.
I think it's a given that you're an unusual creation here. If people have a few questions,
Very kind.
are you willing to answer a few questions? If anybody, I don't know if people have a few,
I'm at your service. I'm at your service, sister.
or I'll see where I think that our famous moderator might have a few.
I might have a few questions here for everybody, from everybody. We always love getting good questions coming in. So if you have some, I think some of you have the Q&A button and some. So we've got, from Jade, would like to say Patricia loves your books. Where do you come up with your ideas, she would like to know. And she said, keep writing. And she's sending love from Canada, Dan.
Oh, good.
Well, and yes, and wonderful Canada. Um, I don't 100% know where I get my ideas, but it's a combination of two things. One, I try to harken back to stuff that I found spooky and scary and entertaining as a kid. And then I try to think as an adult, if I tell a story, how can I be evocative of all of that from the good old days, but do it through the eyes of an adult living in the modern world. So, for example, in Sharp Force, I wanted a good ghost story, a scary, scary thing, but it's not really a ghost. And it's like we were just talking about with Danny about that there's scientific explanations for everything if we can just find them.
Absolutely. And oh, good. Lots of questions are starting to pop in now. This is from Sophie. She wants to know what's your main motivation for writing.
Well, I'll answer. Then Dan can answer,
Yeah.
since he is a writer, a screenwriter, and now and a novelist. I've just always been doing it since I was a little kid. I think, and I'd love to hear what Dan has to say about this, but I think that sometimes things choose us for some reason, and I may need to do it more than it needs to be done. And I've been doing it my whole life. I just am a storyteller. I've always, and that it's something I need to do it. And I always hope that people will enjoy it. But Danny, you speak to that.
Well, it's exactly that. You have stories that pop into your head or ideas, and you go, boy, that'd be neat. Wow. Boy, if I'm interested in that, maybe someone else will. And you write because you want others. You want to share with others. You want others to enjoy it. And you want to move people, and you want to excite them, and you want them to react with a full range of emotions. And so that's what it is. Stories come in there, and you go to yourself, this is good enough to write and maybe share with people. Yeah,
I love it, and we love that you share it with us.
And it takes courage. I don't care who you are. Like for Dan Aykroyd to decide to write a novel, I don't know if you call it science fiction, but he's a genre all on his own. Let's just be honest, okay? But that takes just as much courage, maybe even more, than for somebody who's brand new getting started in things. I mean, it's scary for me if I try to do something different, or even with the Scarpetta book, because you always think, I hope I can tell a good story this time. So that never goes away, and people should just know we all feel like that.
And we work hard, and we're conscientious. We really are trying to do our best to give our best, to share our best, because after all, readers and audiences are worth it, and they're what drive us to do these things.
And doing a lot of these events with authors, I think that if you do feel like complacent, it doesn't come across as authentic. It's like when you have a little scared feeling, that's like a real authentic thing that's coming.
Yeah, we want to treat the audiences and the readers properly.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, this is for you. This is from Carrie. She says she's a big fan, obviously. She wants to know, is there a scene from any Ghostbusters movies that you couldn't do without laughing so hard?
Well, anytime Murray was on the set, it's pretty difficult to, you have to be disciplined and in control. I think some of his stuff that he did in Ghostbusters 2 with the babies was really funny. And I remember watching that and kind of stifling laughter. But we had a wonderful crew, and there were joys all the way through it. But it's Murray that's the he's the main catalyst for uncontrolled laughter.
He's the troublemaker.
Yes, I would say. Yeah, even today.
Okay, Patricia, this one's from Brandy. She'd like to know, as someone she's been to the body farm, she wants to know, what was your first feeling when the smell hit you?
No.
Yeah, well, because of my years in the medical examiner's office, it's not something I hadn't smelled before. But that is never a pleasant odor. And interestingly, it's not meant to be. I think in terms of our biology, we are meant to be repulsed by things that could be bad for us. And if you think back in the long ago days of like the Stone Age, when that could be when I was growing up, but these days it feels like. But long ago and far away, if people were walking through a forest, they were hunting or whatever, and you smelled death, you didn't want to go near that because you might be next. So But yes, the body farm is not for the faint of heart. For those who don't know, it's where bodies are donated for forensic science, forensic anthropological, and it's research. It's where things like time of death get perfected because you have bodies decompose in all sorts of lovely ways. And my first experience there, after it, the two anthropologists took me to lunch. And don't go to a barbecue place after you've been to the body farm. That's enough said.
Good advice. Great advice there. Okay,
I won't go into any more detail than that.
Yeah, that's enough. This question's coming in from Dale, and this is for you, Patricia. Has your process for writing changed over time? They love your books.
Thank you. Yes, I think that you evolve as a storyteller, and you change with the times. For example, our attention span is shorter. I think that we are much more visually oriented because of streaming TV. Because of people like Danny that make you want to watch movies and television, and it's also graphically visual. And so I've found over time, my writing, I don't have 20-page chapters, I have 10-page chapters. I'll have a break between them. I mean, so yes, I think we all evolve. And Danny, you speak to this as a writer. Do you find that your style has evolved over time?
Well, I haven't written, well, I did, yes, I did some work on the Ghostbusters 2 screenplay. And I have written, I've written a script. And I found that the way movies are written now, the old style is, exterior city hall day, and then you have your paragraph screen direction. Now they don't put exterior and interior anymore. They go outside City Hall. The mayor pulls up in his car. Inside City Hall, he enters his office. There's no formal. The young directors and producers, they don't want to see that exterior interior anymore. They just want to see more of a fluid, almost like a treatment outline for a finished screenplay. And so that's very challenging because I like the exterior interior screen direction dialogue format, but that's out the window now. And there's a whole new way to write and format screenplays. And that certainly has changed my process. And I conformed to it in this last thing that I wrote. It wasn't so much exterior, interior as, inside the house, they're having dinner. And then, outside the house, a car pulls up. So it's kind of, it's changed quite a bit in the last 10 years, screenplay writing for sure.
Well, I think everybody listening would attest to that. Everything is changing in every aspect of society, whether it's screenwriting or novel writing or anything. I mean, we hear about it on the news with artificial intelligence and all of this, and just where everything is going. And the one thing that I would say is that in life, I don't care what age you are, you've got to be able to pivot. You've got to be flexible, because there's some changes you can't stop. Gutenberg, the monks doing those beautiful manuscripts, they didn't want the printing press. A lot of it, but you're not going to stop it. When that genie's out of the bottle, it's like in Ghostbusters. Good luck getting it back in the canister. So except you know how to do that. You're the only one who knows how to do that.
Well, I don't know how I'm going to contain AI. Now we have they're generating actors and actresses, and I can see my profession dwindling. Absolutely, you could they'll be able to create a Brad Pitt-like star and make him a star and manage his career to be as big as any real person, and that's coming right now. That's on the rise right now. That is happening right now. Soon there will be a movie with all AI characters, and you know what? They'll all be stars, and they'll be owned by a mega corporation. They won't have to pay them residuals. They won't have to feed them. They won't have to house them, put them in a trailer. They'll just create them and put them up there. That's coming. Movies are going to be made like that in the next 10 years. Movies and television, and the end, and it'll be the end of the actor.
Oh, I don't want to see that.
So
You
lucky I
know
have
that.
another racket. I sell vodka, so I have another racket.
Yes, I have a bottle of it right up here on
I
my shelf.
see the skull. Yes.
Yes,
Good.
that beautiful fluorescing kind of bottle.
Yep.
What is it? The Aurora or something is called?
Yeah, that's the Aurora. That's our wheat, Sunset wheat. And of course, all Crystal Head vodka has no additives, no glycerin, no sugar, no lemonine. And it's 65 shots a calorie. 65 calories a shot there. Yeah.
Well, now 65 shots a calorie. That would
50,
be
50
a new
shots.
diet that you could invent.
That would be, yeah, 65 calories a
Yeah.
shot, I meant.
So, I mean, but not to end on a gloom and doom about AI replacing all the artists in the world. I also, we don't know where all this is going to go, and I believe that when things are changing, use the tools as best you can. Be aware, but don't give up thinking that you're not necessary, because we just don't know that that's true. And I think that I'm just going to keep writing books like I have. But the truth matter is, every time I Google and ask a question, AI is assisting with the information I'm getting. I mean, we're already
Mhm.
using it, and but there also the possibility that iconic actors, and that they will star in things without showing up because of this. Not so much being replaced, but being replicated, and then you get paid for the right for somebody to do that. I mean, there may be other ways this works out.
Well,
I would,
well, it's
you
already, yeah. Well, Carrie Fisher's estate was paid for her image in the last Star Wars movie, and so is Peter Cushing's estate. So hopefully people will be straight with us. And go ahead and use my image as I was when I was 40 years old. Go ahead, use that, but please, pay my family. Pay my estate, pay the rights. But the thing is, there's going to be so much room for abuse. And how do you chase people who are doing these things and putting them up on streaming? You go after them, and you might the company might go bankrupt. You collect nothing, and yet the work is out there, and somebody else is buying it and licensing it, and you don't get anything. So there is big danger of the
well,
abuse there.
the old saying, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And when you think back, and I'm looking at this, there's a picture on my wall of Charles Dickens when he visited Boston in 1868. And one of his big things back then was his books could be published all over the world. He got nothing for them. He only got, and so he was one of the people who went and talked to Congress about copyright law.
Yeah.
So when authors and are getting royalties and have to be paid from foreign countries and all that, you can thank Charles Dickens. So
And
we've gone
yeah.
from that all the way back around to almost the same thing all over again.
Mark Twain as well had many of his books were bootlegged, and he didn't get anything for them. And he was on the forefront of the copyright law too as well. Yeah.
Well, we had too many questions come in. We're out of time, but this has been another wonderful conversation between Patricia and Dan Aykroyd. We want to just one more shout out for Sharp Force. If you are so inclined, warwicks.com. You can buy the book from us and we will ship it to you anywhere in the United States. If you're not in the United States and you're up in Canada with Dan, find a good independent bookstore to buy that book from up in Canada. Dan, I hope that you'll come and talk with us and Patricia when your book comes out. That would be another fun conversation to have. So we'd love to have you back for that. And I think you two should do a podcast together, because this is the most fun conversations. I swear, I love these. So with that, Patricia Cornwell, thank you. Dan Aykroyd, thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Thanks,
Thank you.
Patricia.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.